Video with Figboot on pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Over these last few years, I can't think of another retailer that has had a higher hit rate of quality, limited edition, retailer-exclusive collaborations than Stilo Stile. And today, I'm here to discuss their latest release, which is a collaboration with Leonardo on a model that I haven't previously reviewed called the Poliedrica. I believe that's how it's pronounced. And this specific version reuses a resin from one of Stilo Stile's popular previous collaborations. The full name of this pen is the Leonardo Stilo Stile Poliedrica Desiderio. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this multifaceted offering, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. So, in order to see what Stilo Stile have brought us this go-around, please join me over here at camera 2. The pen arrives in this standard Leonardo box. It's actually a standard box, but it has a custom sleeve on it, which I always kind of like to see for a limited edition pen. And then inside this box, there is the standard Leonardo box. Inside, we have a use and care guide. And then inside here, we have the pen. I do think it's kind of funny because this it also includes this little logo here, and usually that's attached to the clip, but this is a clipless pen. And here is the pen. This is the Stilo Stile Leonardo Poliedrica Desiderio. Now, the name of this model, Poliedrica, means multifaceted in Italian. And as you can see here, especially on the ends, it is indeed just that. To begin with, let's talk about this material. This material is called a Desiderio, and it isn't the first time that Stilo Stile have used it on one of their limited edition offerings. This is what it looks like on the Radius model that they used previously. And this one might be a little bit more on the white side, a little bit more on the white swirls, but you can see that it's essentially the same type of material. And with this material, there might be some variance from pen to pen with it. The name Desiderio is derived from the Latin word decidius, or decidius, which means to feel the absence of the stars. It kind of poetically recalls the bond between aspirations and dreams and the starry sky, and kind of conveys a sense of desire and longing. But let's go ahead and take a look at the parts and features of this pen. First of all, I do like that you can see here on the end, it does have that triangular shaped with the squared off edges, and then it transitions. You can see it better here in the light there. There's the facet, and it transitions into a section here in the middle, which is rounded. Here, near the end of the cap, you can see it says Leonardo and Stilo Stile, as well as the number of this pen. This pen is number 11, but this is a limited edition. And that then here on the end, you can see that it tapers down again to that triangular kind of squared off edge. I will say it feels really ergonomic to hold it in your hand like this. Just kind of the way my fingers kind of pinch together like that, it just fits in here just natural. So it just kind of feels interesting to even just hold it in your hand just like this. That this cap twists off with a single rotation. And, there's actually a couple of things I like about that. One, that it comes off with a single rotation. And then also that there are triple threads on here. So there's 3 different entry points. But each entry point, let me back it up and then go into the next entry point. The pen stays in perfect alignment between the triangular cap as well as barrel. And again, I'll go to the next thread and do that, and it stays in perfect orientation, which I appreciate it. This pen does have a number 6 nib. You know what? Let me actually wipe that off. Okay, I had been using this and it got a little messy. We want to show it off at its best because I do like the Leonardo stamping on their nibs. I just think it looks really sharp. That this pen is available in a wide variety of nib choices, but what's also really interesting is that it's possible to add unique nibs from Stilo Stile's Grind Your Writing program. Through this programs, there are custom nibs available from renowned nibmeisters. There are some stacked nibs from CY, from Tokyo Inklings, and Jose Manura from Nib Lab. And then there's also some custom grinds from Thomas Ang and other nibmeisters. This one is just a standard broad nib, though. And then there is a look at the plastic feed. The section begins, or basically it begins with not necessarily a flare, but the section itself is concave. And then it transitions into the cap threads. And then I'd say a rather large step up to the remainder of the barrel, but it is angled. You can see that it's angled here, so it's not necessarily a steep step up, that it's a bit rounded. And then it transitions to the rest of the barrel here, which tapers down. I do find this grip to be very comfortable. It's a decent girth for me and fits really well in my hand. And that this transition here isn't so steep that it messes with my grip. And I think even if you grip your pens a little bit further back, it's still not going to mess with it that much. And the transition being rounded helps out a bit. This pen is a decent length. It is not designed to be posted kind of this triangle into a square. Doesn't necessarily fit well, and that's fine because I kind of like the looks of this triangular part in the back and kind of prefer it when it's not posted. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international cartridges, and a converter is provided with the metal housing. This would not be a pen that I would recommend eyedropping. The price for this pen with a steel nib is approximately 229 euros, which equates to approximately 270 US dollars. The 14 karat gold nib version will run you 529 euros, which is approximately $621. Now, these prices are a little bit higher than some of Stilo Stile's previous retailer exclusive Leonardos, but they actually decided to do something interesting this time around. They decided to offer prepaid customs and import fees for US customers. So the price that you will pay at checkout will be your total price. With the way things have been lately, especially with foreign orders, sometimes it's a bit of a mystery as to what items coming from outside of the US will have a surprise additional cost. So I felt that this was a nice option to have. If you're watching this review when it launches, the pen is available on the Stilo Stile website, and that I would recommend checking it out sooner rather than later because the Stilo Stile limited edition pens have a tendency to not be around for very long. Okay, now it's time for some measurements and then some size comparisons and then a writing sample. Okay, here we go with some size comparisons for the Leonardo Poliedrica Desiderio. In regard to some other limited edition pens from Stilo Stile, I showed this previously, but this was the Radius model in the Desiderio material. And then this was another one of my favorites, which was the Momento Zero, and this is the Cometa. I just liked this one a lot. I just thought that between all of these, it kind of has like that night sky look. And then this one here was called the Prisma, which had some really nice PVD treatment in there, and I thought that one looked interesting as well. In regard to some non-Leonardo pens, here it is with a Pilot Vanishing Point. And then here it is with a Visconti Opera. This is the Opera Air. And then finally, here it is with a Lamy 2000. Okay, in regard to some uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Momento Zero. So you can see it's a little bit larger than the Momento Zero. And then here it is with the Lamy 2000. And then finally, here it is with the Visconti Opera. I will say that even though this pen is faceted, these facets do not act as a roll stop, that it will roll. And so that would have been nice if these would have acted as a roll stop, but that's not the case with this pen. So you just need to be careful if you set it down. But in regard to the writing sample, we have these Stilo and Stile plus Leonardo. Poliedrica, Desiderio. And the ink that I'm using is, you know what, it's one of my first inks that I ever purchased that wasn't just a straight black ink. I was into just black inks for a long time, and then I really branched out and picked up this Diamine 1864 blue black. Oh, I forgot to say, this is a broad stainless steel nib. And this is what the ink looks like. Actually, one of my first inks was the Diamide Midnight. And then I liked that so much, I think the next one I picked up after that was this blue black, which is a nice black that was some almost kind of royal blue. So it's almost like a royal blue black, but that's what it looks like. This is what it looks like in comparison to that Diamide Midnight, which isn't quite as black. And then here it is with Bungbox 4B. This is what the bottle for the 1864 looked like. It's that little wedge shape, and so if you have a number of them, then you can put them in a circle. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I will say that I do care for this broad nib, that it is fairly wet and fairly juicy. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of here, but I will say that the ink flow for this broad nib is very generous. In regard to reverse writing, it's fairly smooth and lays down a nice fine line, maybe almost even medium. And then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up very well. So there we have the Stilo and Stile Leonardo Poliedrica Desiderio. As I mentioned previously, that this is a limited edition offering from Stilo and Stile, and their limited edition offerings have a tendency to go very quick. So I would recommend going to their website if this is something that interests you, and check out this pen sooner rather than later, because this is a limited edition offering, and they have a tendency to not be around for very long. And I think that I really like the shape of this pen. I really like this design. As I mentioned up top, I hadn't reviewed this particular design before, and I like it a lot. So much so that I think that maybe the next time I end up doing a Leonardo collaboration, maybe I should do it with one of this model. So maybe let me know in the notes below or the comments below what you think about that, and if you like this model for a potential collaboration down the line. Thanks again. Go out to Stilo and Stile for providing this pen for review. And as I mentioned, check out their website with the link in the notes below if you'd like to learn a little bit more about this very interesting and well-performing model. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.